Hey guys, it's Crystal back with another video for you. Today is another very exciting video because I will be continuing my B16 head build. So I finally got the B16 head back from RS Machine. As you can see guys, it looks mint. So beautiful, it was cleaned so nicely. Overall, I'm just very impressed with the quality of service. So 10 out of 10, thank you so much. So today I want to start off the video by installing the valve seals, and as you can see I have already started doing that on most of the valves, but I did leave 3 so that I can demonstrate how that is done and I can show you the product numbers and everything, so let's get started on that. Before I get started with the demonstration, I did want to point out something very important. So we have 2 seals here. So these are OEM Honda seals, and you will notice that there is a slight difference between the 2. So this side right here is going to be the exhaust side, and you'll notice that the ring around the exhaust seal is black. And then this side over here is going to be the intake side, and you'll notice that this seal is white or silver. So there is a difference between the 2 guys, and we do want to make sure that we don't mix them up. So again, this is the exhaust, this is the intake. So today I will be demonstrating how to put the intake side in for the last 3 valves. Step 1 is to remove the valve that we're going to be working on. So I'm just going to lift up the head and push the valve on out. So the guy that worked on my head lapped each valve to its corresponding chambers, so I'm going to be working on them one at a time because I do not even want to risk mixing up the valves. I'm going to set that off to the side. Next we have to install the valve seat. So this is the OEM Honda valve seat that I purchased, and this is the part number for anybody that needs it. You will need 16 valve seats for this entire install if you go ahead and get new ones. So let me just crack this open. Okay, so this is what it looks like here. You'll notice that one side is risen. You are going to want to install it with the flat side facing down and the risen side facing up. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop this on in there. We just want to make sure that it's sitting flush, which it looks like it is. Next, I'm going to be installing the intake valve seal, and I'm just going to be putting that right on top. So I just placed the valve seal onto the valve guide, and I did that with my fingers. Now I'm going to go in with a 10mm socket and just push that all the way down, not with too much force, but just to make sure it's secure. As you can see, the valve seal is fully installed and seated, and all I used was this 10mm socket and extension to push it all the way down so that it got secure. And that is all you need to install valve seals, guys. It is really easy, so just give me a moment. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the install on the last 2, but yeah, not too bad at all, really, really quick. Okay, so the seals are now all installed, so I wanted to introduce the next thing that I have to install for the head. So these are the Supertech dual valve springs, and they are very high quality, so just to show it off a little bit. We've got that right in here, and this just goes right on top. And so what's really interesting is that factory Hondas typically only have the dual springs on one side of the engine. I'm not sure if it's the exhaust or the intake side, but yeah, this is gonna have it on all the sides, guys. Super awesome. It's important to note that having these dual springs will allow me to get higher in those RPMs, as well as have better reliability and protect my car when they're in the higher RPMs. So super, super awesome, guys. Very excited to have this. The next thing we have are the Supertech titanium retainers, which go on top of the valve spring like this. So again, super high quality, and we are doing all Supertech today. Really just wanted to keep it all in the family, and I know Supertech has really high quality products, so I just feel good and safe staying with Supertech all around. But yeah, really excited to see how this build turns out. Also really important to note, I don't remember if I mentioned it, but I also have Supertech bronze valve guides. So again, guys, going all Supertech. Let me just demonstrate how this sits on the valve. So it's just gonna go right on top like so. Of course, more aligned than what I'm doing right now. Then we're going to install these keepers onto the valve, which is gonna keep the springs in place. So really, really important to have these. So here you see me putting on the Supertech valve retainers and keepers, and I'm so sorry that I'm not doing a full how-to video on this. If you guys need to reference my previous video, basically I am taking everything apart. You're just gonna be reversing that. Cutting to another day, guys. I am so sorry that I have to make this video in segments. I'm literally so busy, so trying to just fit in video time whenever I can. But yeah, so we are going to continue on with the B16 head build, so let's get on in. Just in case you forgot, I'm gonna give you guys a quick refresher of what we have in the head. So just starting off, everything is Supertech. We have Supertech valves and Supertech valve guides. We have Supertech dual springs and Supertech titanium retainers. As you can see, I do have the majority of my lifters already installed. So I have the exhaust side fully installed, and then I left one last intake side to install for you guys. So I have those right over here. So this is what they look like, and this is the orientation in which they go. So I'll be demonstrating how to put those in, but first we do need to dunk these in some fresh oil. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put these in here. Make sure they get all the oil. And as you can see, this is the motor oil that I'll be using. Get these last few pieces in. Now I'm just gonna rotate these over. Awesome. Cool, and now I'm just gonna take these on out. They should be all good and coated now. Okay, so I have these out in the correct orientation like so. Now let's get these guys out. So I'm gonna show you how these pieces fit in. So this long piece goes right here in the middle, and you see how easily that just slides in. And then this last little piece right over here is gonna go in this side. Awesome, and then they do fit in like so. So now let's get these on in. Before I get started with installing the lifters, I did want to start off by putting some assembly lube on the lifter rod. So just to get a little bit on there like so. All right, so this is good because it'll help just make the process easier and help everything slide on a little better. So I'm gonna put this right over here. And now to get the first one on in. Okay, so I just pushed the assembly or the rod through. So now to install the second piece, it's important to note that you do have to connect these two together. Okay. So now the rod is pushed in all the way. So you'll notice that this lifter is not flush like the others. So right down here, you'll see that there is a little spring. So I'm just gonna be pushing that spring in while simultaneously pushing this one down. Oh, a little too fast. All right. Perfect. Now that is all the lifters installed. Next, I'm gonna be installing this Oil Orifice. I think that might be what it's called. For anybody who needs the part number, that is it. So basically what's gonna happen is, so we have the rod right down in the middle here. Basically there's a hole in the rod that needs to align perfectly with this hole right here. So I went ahead and installed this side already, so I'm just gonna push the rod out a little bit so you can see which hole I'm talking about. So I'm gonna push that out right here. So you see, this is the hole that I was talking about, and this does have to be aligned with this one in order for that little rod to fit perfectly. So I'm just gonna push that back in. And then before I put this little orifice in, I'm gonna dunk it in oil. Let me just get this open. Get this in our motor oil. Perfect. Once we have it aligned, we're just going to push it in with our hand. Awesome, just like so. So now that we have that all installed, you'll notice that we still have our little openings where the rod is, and we do want to close those up. I have 2 plugs here that I'm gonna be using to plug up those holes where the rod is. And to tighten those down, I'm using a 10mm Allen key. Fits in just like so. But before we do this, we have to make sure that we install the crush washer with it. So let me, if anybody needs the part number, here's that one. Awesome, so this is what that looks like. So that's just gonna go on like so. Now that we have the crush washer on, I'm gonna hand tighten them into the hole. Okay, so we have that one pretty much finger tightened. Now let's get the other side. Next, we're gonna be torquing down our plugs to 47 foot-pounds, and this gives me the opportunity to show off my new torque wrench from Snap-on. It is so fancy, and you can see that it is already set to 47 foot-pounds. So I'm just gonna take my Allen key, make sure that gets on there, nice and tight. Okay. So one thing to note with this is super cool. You can see what's going on here. I cannot, but it keeps track of where it's at torque-wise. And once it's ready to go, these lights will turn from orange to green. There we go, and then it'll vibrate, it'll beep, and it is super precise. So that goes ahead and tells me that we are all good. So really, really cool, guys. Like it. Okay, so we are pretty much done with the head, but we are missing one thing. So right over here, we have lost motion assembly, aka LMAs. So these are Supertech LMAs, and this is what I'm going to be installing today. I just wanted to compare this to the OEM LMA. You can clearly see that they look very different, and after so many miles, these tend to fail. So this is definitely gonna be more reliable, definitely better quality, and of course we're staying with Supertech. So really, really easy to install. Let me just show you how we're gonna do that. First, I'm gonna start by dunking this into the motor oil right over here. Getting that all oiled up, so it looks like we're all set. So I lifted up these lifters here, which exposed that little center piece, and that is where the LMA is going to fall. So let me just stick that right in there. Super simple. Drop these on down and we're all good. So I'm just going to install the LMAs for the rest of the intake side and we'll be all set. So that pretty much concludes our video for today. I can't quite install the cams yet until I put the head on the block. So that is pretty much all that I have. And I'm actually waiting for head studs to come in by ARP. They are unfortunately back ordered, so I'm just waiting for them to come in, but you already know I'm gonna go ahead and get that on film once I do. So again guys, that pretty much concludes the video. As always, if you liked it, if you can give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Once again, I apologize for being in a skirt and a t-shirt right now. I am just trying to fit in some video time anytime that I can. I just have such a busy schedule right now, but I'm always thinking about you guys and I want to make sure that I document all this. So again, like and subscribe and stay tuned for next time. Until then, QueeenBRZ out.